My childhood friend came to visit and was a nightmare house guest. When the check for dinner comes, she does not make any motion to pay at all. I wait for a bit. I finally just pay the check and we leave. And then she springs on me that she got a hair appointment. The place she wants to go is near the airport, so it's an hour away from my house. She should have gone after your flight.
Yeah, dude.
She tells me the guest bed is too soft and gave her a backache. She continues to complain about not having a ride to the hair place. Welcome back to Delve Deck Stories. Today we have some friend breakup stories.
Tragic. Raise your hand if you've been through a friend breakup.
Well, you have every friend you've ever had in your
Wow,
entire
Gabe.
life.
Yeah, but when I think about a friend breakup, I'm thinking like, was there like, oh, I hate you, I don't
Or
want to
was
talk
it
to you
just
ever.
like a...
It was like a
I don't
natural.
think it has to be super
I mean, there are people that I don't
traumatic.
talk to that I was friends with, and we just kind of
Yeah.
grew apart, but we never had like a tumultuous kind of breakup.
Yeah. Wow. Congrats.
What can I say? Just kind of avoid the problem.
Our first story is from Carly, and it's what was your last straw with someone you stopped speaking to from the original deck? My childhood friend came to visit and was a nightmare house guest. I had been friends with Darlene since we were kids, but we both moved around as adults and didn't get to see each other regularly over the last 10 years. We'd kind of gone in different directions as adults, but always stayed in touch. Last year, she came to town to visit and asked if she could stay with me, which I said would be fine. I have a guest room that I told her she was welcome to. She was going to a conference not too far from where I live, so I was happy to host and have a chance to catch up. I also agreed to pick Darlene up at the airport since she was arriving on a Sunday and I wasn't busy. Important to note that the airport is like an hour away from where I live, so this was kind of a big favor, but I was willing to do it. I picked Darlene up and she immediately launched into complaining about her flight, which I get. Flights are annoying. So I tried to change the subject and see if she wanted to get dinner before we went to my house. She agrees and we go to a restaurant near my place.
Okay, honestly, like, you can just get drunk at an airport. Like, it's really not that bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Some of
I
you might
agree.
be sober, and then it's that bad. But for me, I've never complained about being at an airport a little extra longer, because that means one more Bloody
I
Mary for me,
do.
please.
I also kind of like airports a little
Love an
bit.
airport bar.
But the plane part sucks.
Oh, I hate
Yeah,
that
yeah.
part. It always
Yeah.
smells like stale sausage, and like somebody forgot to wipe their ass.
Somebody, like, I don't know. I feel like there's always the stale sausage. I'm like, what did you eat?
What is in the vents?
What is happening?
Why have you ever seen an airplane clean its vents? Me neither. So I think
So
they
it has
haven't.
never happened.
Well,
That's what all those
Yeah.
hot dogs are.
one hot dog.
Hot dog.
I'm coming for that hot dog. I'm telling you right now.
I want to get dinner before we go to my house. She agrees, and we go to a restaurant near my place. At the restaurant, the complaining continues. She doesn't like that they have Coke instead of Pepsi. I don't know. Okay, I'm not a soda person, so
I've never met someone
probably
that-
not the right person to comment on this. I understand that people have preferences, but complaining feels extreme.
No, I mean, that's that moment where you're like, I'll take Coke, and they're like, Pepsi okay? And you go, all right. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
You
the
just are
extent
sort of
But
like,
I've
okay.
never been to a spot where someone's like, I really want Pepsi, and then they have Coke. I mean, I don't drink soda that often, but I would say that Coke is, I think,
Someone's like,
sure.
Coke
People
okay?
tend to have
Yeah.
a preference.
yeah,
for
but
Coke.
any person that's like, oh, you have Pepsi? It's like I've never heard someone ever actively be like, you got Pepsi? It's always been like, you got Coke? No, we have Pepsi, or we have RC Cola, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And like then you like start going down the list.
My parents like Pepsi.
That seems on brand.
Well,
I don't know.
Nobody
what that
said
says
they were
about
perfect,
that.
you know.
Listen, I never did.
I need to hear more about this horrible guest.
She doesn't like that they take a while to bring our food. By the time the check comes, I'm already worn out and wondering if I have 3 more days of nonstop complaining to look forward to.
Yeah, you do.
When the check for dinner comes, she does not make any motion to pay at all. I wait for a bit, but the restaurant is getting close to closing and I want to go home. So I finally just pay the check and we leave.
I mean,
I feel like with a friend,
you can be like,
you're
are we
just sort of
splitting?
like, we splitting this?
It's not like an
Yeah.
awkward date where you're like, oh, okay, I'll pay that. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll take your breadsticks and you get the 3 glasses of wine. Is that all right?
Yeah.
But also, if someone is coming to pick you up and you're staying at their house, like
Yeah.
I
Would offer to pay.
offer all, like not only that, but
Yeah.
I also don't even offer. I just like throw a card and be like, I got it.
Yeah.
Like this is
I
the least I
agree.
can do for
It's
putting
not
up with me.
hard to, you know,
to
have
help your
hospitality.
friends out. Yeah. At no point does Darlene say thank you or I will get the next one. I am annoyed. I don't even recall offering to buy dinner, but whatever. I am ready to go home. One thing to note about me and Darlene is we both grew up lower middle class, but I hustled my way into a boring but stable, well-paying job. Darlene has always kind of flitted from thing to thing and lived a more bohemian existence. She wants to be a full-time artist, but doesn't make enough money doing it, so she works at a nonprofit where she doesn't make a lot.
I feel like she doesn't have the right soul for an artist. Like,
Yeah.
to complain about everything all the time. I mean, there's no beauty or anything in that. You're just f***ing annoying. And like to be
Yeah.
an artist, I feel like you've got to like be annoyed at the plane being delayed and then find a skit you're going to write about it.
Right.
Like, I
Paint a
feel like that's
picture.
what it is.
Paint a picture of a delayed plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am not judging her for her choices. She can do what she wants, but I get the sense that she thinks I should just automatically pay for everything all the time because I make more money. I definitely make more than her, but I am hardly a millionaire and don't appreciate being taken for granted. Anyway, we go back to my house and hang out in the living room for a bit and have some wine. We catch up on what we've been up to, and then she springs on me that she got a hair appointment with this stylist she follows on Instagram for Wednesday and wants to know if I can drop her off and pick her up.
And pay.
The place she wants to go is near the airport, so it's an hour away from my house. She should have gone after your flight.
Yeah, dude.
Should've
Of all
gone after your
times to like
flight.
do your hair after the plane.
Yeah.
Do it. Get the updo.
Well, you don't need to keep going back and forth.
Also, it's like it's called an Uber, dude.
Yeah.
Take a Lyft, whatever.
And she is asking me to drive her to a 10 a.m. appointment on a weekday across town.
Nope.
Like, take an Uber.
Yeah. If
But
it's
the
an hour away,
train.
that means I gotta
Yeah,
wake
a
up
bus.
early. I get to sleep
No,
in.
that's a big fat fucking you know. You don't. That would always piss me off when people are like, oh, and by the way, now can we do this thing? And it's like, no, you had to give me ample time and ample warning, and you didn't.
Yes.
So I'm not suffering because you didn't
absolutely
want to have a
not.
conversation.
I tell her I can't make that work because it's a work day for me and suggest she take an Uber. She complains she can't afford an Uber and that she already paid a deposit to book her hair appointment.
That's not my problem.
Yeah.
That's a you problem, dog.
That's nothing
And that
to do
if
with
she
me.
doesn't get a ride over there, she will lose her deposit. I tell her I'm sorry I can't help, and she gets all bitchy with me and goes, I thought you work from home. I don't see why you can't take a few hours off to help me out.
If you thought that, then why wouldn't you have asked before you booked the appointment?
Yeah.
Like, truly, by your logic, then it wouldn't have been a big deal at all. So why wouldn't you have just been like, hey, by the way, I have this thing. Does that work?
But also, people
Yeah.
who work from home also have meetings.
You
Yeah.
are working.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
You are still
I don't like
working.
being away from
And if she
my
really wants to
laptop
go,
long.
girl, you got 2 feet
Yeah.
and a phone to give you
I
directions.
barely even ask people for rides to the airport.
No.
Like, I'm like, this crazy.
I'm like...
Get a rental car.
Yeah.
Get a rental car is probably cheaper than an Uber.
I pointed out that it would take me an hour to drive to the salon, an hour to drive home, and then another hour there and back to pick her up. So 4 hours of my day, which I can't spare. She whines that she doesn't have any good places to get her hair done near her and suggests I just bring my laptop and work from the salon. I told her I couldn't do that, so she went off to bed in a huff. I mean, it's just a crazy thing to expect from anyone. I don't see her again until the next night, and the complaining continues. She tells me the guest bed is too soft and gave her a backache. She continues to complain about not having a ride to the hair place. Girl, please. Also, like, okay, I just feel like if I'm staying at a person's place and it's free, I'm not complaining about the sleeping situation.
Yeah.
You're not paying
She's
money.
also not living there, moving there, or whatever. But like, she's only there for a few days.
I'm sure she's also
Just-
got a sofa. Like,
Yeah.
just go around if it's
It's like,
too
have you
real.
never slept on something? And also, if it is a big deal, then like, you
Ask
know,
if you can spoon.
Get a hotel if it's that big of a deal for
Why
you.
wouldn't you?
yeah.
Finally, I was like, look, the hair place you want to go to is near the airport, which you already have to be at Thursday morning. Maybe you could stay at a hotel near the airport tomorrow and Wednesday night, and then you'll be near the airport and the salon. She said, how could I afford 2 nights at a hotel plus the Uber to get there? I came out here because I thought I had a free place to stay. I can't afford all that. I feel like I thought I had a free place to stay. That's just revealing your intentions.
Yeah. I thought I had someone I could mooch on.
Yeah. At this point, I was so annoyed, I just needed Darlene out of my house. I told her I'd pay for the Uber and hotel so she wouldn't have to worry about it. I was beyond pissed off, but I wanted her to leave and couldn't take another minute of complaining. She goes, it's like you're paying to get rid of me. Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. But not wanting to argue with her, I told her I was just trying to offer the best possible solution that would make her happy. She goes, fine, I'm going to bed. She's clearly mad at me at this point, but I don't care. She's been a nightmare this whole trip. I spent the next day fuming about the situation with Darlene, but I booked a hotel for her and got her an Uber as soon as she got back to my house that night. One time I was on a trip with my sister, and she pissed me off so much I bought her a plane ticket home that afternoon.
Did she go on it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We
Go.
were both so sick of
Leave.
each other. And I was just like, she was like, I don't want to be around you anymore. And I was like, I don't want to be around you. Buy you a plane ticket. I love my sister. Love you, girl. But you had to go. I didn't hear from her for a few months after that. And when she finally called me months later, I let it go to a voicemail. She left me a message telling me she had just had an art show and that she still had a few paintings left and wanted to see if I wanted to buy one to make things up to her for how poorly I treated her
What?
last time she came to visit.
This reminds me of this guy I was friends with on Venmo for a while, because if you just messaged him every once in a while on Venmo with a number amount, he might send you money. And I'd be like, oh, this happened. And then I asked for $15 and then I'd get $15. And that's kind of what this friend reminds me of. She's
Yeah.
just like, if you wanted to make it up to me.
It's just a weird thing to say. This isn't how friends treat each other.
No, that's how you treat a PayPal.
Also, like,
Yeah.
if I was, you know, an artist, a painter, whatever, I'd be like, oh my God, let me give you a piece to, like, not make it up entirely, but let me give you a piece out of just, like, an attempt to kind of
Darlene thinks
bridge
she
this.
was wronged.
No, I know. No, I get it. I understand that. The whole thing has been very much like, oh, woe is me. But I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, if I was someone like this in this situation, like, oh, man, I really wronged this person. I'd be like, oh, please, take a piece from my show.
Yeah.
As, like, you know, as a sign of goodwill or whatever.
Not in a million years, Darlene. Blocked her number and haven't heard from her since.
They
Friendship breakups are hard, but they're usually also for the best.
Indeed.
Our next story is from Beth, and it's what was your last straw with someone you stopped speaking to from the original deck. My friend turned MAGA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good reason to
That'll
86
do it.
that relationship.
I grew up in a small town that was very white, Christian, and Republican. However, this was the 80s and 90s, so it was before everything turned completely insane. Dina was my best friend since childhood. We were next door neighbors, and from the moment we met, we were inseparable. We did everything together, and I thought of her as my twin sister, my soulmate, my ride or die for life. We both grew up Republican. I was actually registered Republican until 2016, even though I started voting Democrat after W's first term. When I started seeing how hypocritical the Republican Party was and began to examine my upbringing and all the religious trauma I had endured, the cracks began to show.
That's fair. I thought I was going to... No, I don't know if I ever thought I would be a Republican. I did, when I was younger, be like, what do you mean? They want to take our guns. And I thought it would be, like, a huge issue.
Yeah.
Like, you
Like-
thought they were going to physically, like,
Yeah.
come to your home?
Well, it was after the Sandy Hook shooting, and I just thought that it was such, like, a level of... I was in 8th grade. I didn't know. But I thought they are going to start controlling American citizens if they take our guns. Like, that's really what I thought. Anyway,
Yeah,
now I'm a
eighth
bleeding heart
grade.
liberal, so.
Yeah.
8th grade, you're just thinking whatever your parents told you.
I will say I find it funny whenever someone's like, they're gonna take my guns. That's like why I need to fight the tyrannical government. I'm like, dog, they got predator drones. They wipe you out.
No.
If they're flying overhead to monitor protests, you're done.
Still, politics was never an issue between me and Dina because we never really talked about it. Then, as the political climate changed and I started moving more and more to the left, I began to notice certain things about Dina that I found not just concerning, but downright reprehensible. She was casually racist and deeply homophobic.
No, done.
Yeah, I can't really compromise with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I moved out of our town to Chicago and made a few gay friends, and whenever she came to visit, I made a point not to bring her around them.
That's hard.
I started to realize that might be an issue. She would also talk so much shit about the city and say rude things about the minorities who were just trying to live their lives. I'm ashamed to say at this point, I still wasn't ready to use my voice and tell her she needed to stop.
Okay, I'm not justifying it at all, but like I can understand why it's taking our writer to do it, because you've known this person your literal entire life.
Yeah.
You're like, no, she doesn't mean it like that. Like clearly it's this, it's that, but it's like eventually those.
Well, and if you grew up in this kind of environment,
It's
even
normal,
if she's even if she's like starting to trend to the left, you have so much you have to unlearn.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unlearning that has to happen.
That's so real.
But I think it
that's
also
tough.
is probably a fear of like, if I've been friends with this person for so long and I didn't register it, what does that say about me?
Yeah.
You know? And again, I think it's a combination of like living in that environment. So you're like not probably present to someone and be like, oh, that's really messed up. You know, that's not right. And then obviously when you go to a place like Chicago, which is more diverse, you're going to be like, ooh, wow, that was not okay. And I don't know how I ever dealt with that.
Yeah, you really start to learn things
Leave
as you
your
grow.
small towns.
Yeah. Dina was still my best friend, and I needed her in my life. She had been there for me when my dad's alcoholism got out of control. I had even stayed at her place for weeks when my mom became so depressed she couldn't take care of me during their divorce. I was making new friends, but none of them knew me like her, and I loved her dearly. I eventually married my husband, and Dina was my maid of honor. Then we started trying to get pregnant. I was so excited when I missed my period and the test came back positive. After my husband, Dina was the first person I told. She couldn't wait to be an aunt. A week later, the bleeding started. I went to the hospital and learned that I had an ectopic pregnancy, which is never viable and life-threatening to the mother. The only solution is abortion, something I never thought I would do. When I told Dina I had lost the baby, I lied and said it was a miscarriage. I didn't think she would understand. Fast forward to 2016, and I was solidly liberal, and Dina was moving more and more to the right. I could no longer ignore her Facebook posts, ranting about immigrants stealing jobs and how great Trump would be for America. Then one day she wrote a very long post about how there was no reason to ever have an abortion,
Don't give me a break, Dina.
even if the mother's life is in danger.
I would love to see the people who make these comments actually be in that situation. Where
Yeah.
it's like, all right, look, we could save your life, but...
Especially for an ectopic pregnancy, like this
That's not viable. It's not
Yeah, usually in cases where the mother's life is in danger, it's like that baby's not living.
Yeah.
So what, now everyone has to die? That's
Right.
crazy.
I mean, it's like the woman in Georgia, maybe, who is
Yeah, the
on
hurt
life
people.
support, and they're basically just like giving her body sustenance, and she's merely a host for this child, and they don't even know, like...
and that's like a f***ed up thing to also do to a child. I wouldn't like to know that
Yeah,
happened
yeah.
to my mom.
No, to know that your
Yeah.
entire family was like, please let her rest, and you were forcibly born against everyone's wishes.
Yeah.
And who
That's a
knows
lot
how
of
that baby's
guilt.
going to turn out.
You don't. I mean, that's partly why they're justifying doing it, is because they're like, we need to see what had happened. We don't. Women
Yeah.
can just rest in death. Like, really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
But to them, women are merely an earthen vessel.
Apparently, in the eye of the Lord, the mother should accept death and go to the kingdom of heaven.
I never heard that.
Nope.
Never heard that in any of the
Yeah.
Christian scripture that I studied for like 12 years there.
Yeah.
Never heard that in Catholic school.
Never heard that at any summer camp.
Yeah, we've got experts here. They said, no, Dina,
That's not what God said.
God's like not about shit like that. Like he's like a chill dude.
Yeah, he's super chill. He never kills
I mean, he was
people.
like pretty intense
He
in
kills
like the
people,
Old
but
Testament.
he's like chill about it.
But
he
like
kills
the
bad people.
The New Testament, he had a baby, aka Jesus, and then he was like, "Oh man, I should probably work on myself." That's how
he
I
was
look
like,
at it.
I wasn't ready to be a dad.
I honestly think God is just up there being like, and they also have to tell me that I'm great every single day. They're like, God, you don't need that. He's like, I think I need it.
I do. I deserve it. I'm not proud that it wasn't until she said something personal to me that I finally stood up to her, but that was the final straw. I messaged her and said, hey, about your last post, I think there's something you should know, and laid out the facts of my pregnancy that had to be terminated. I told her that her post really hurt me because it implies that she thinks I should be dead. I was hoping this could help her see another point of view. Instead, she responded, and I kid you not, then you should have died.
Jeez.
Wow. I don't understand saying that to another human,
Yeah.
but let alone your best friend.
Like your sister?
I mean,
Yeah.
are we not going to acknowledge the fact that this party label, they just like project themselves as the party that is pro-life? And so
Yeah.
when it comes down to,
So 2 for the price of 1? And
Right.
that's like in your bingo card?
Yeah.
You're into that weirdo? Go
you're
fuck
like,
yourself,
either
Dina.
you keep the mother alive so that she can have a baby later on.
Okay, but that is the other thing. It's like, well, if she lives, then she could have a baby in the future.
Right.
This baby was never going to. This fetus
Yeah.
was never viable.
Right. Like, if you're going to say that it's God's plan and that he knows all and everything is just already predetermined, then you should accept the fact that this child wasn't going to be born and that this mother should live so that, I don't know, maybe she wants to continue her life in the family with her partner and her community.
Yeah.
And on top of that, then say, you know what? We want to try and have another baby, right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like obviously we know that abortions are just basic health care, and like in order for women to reproduce, sometimes it's the only option is you need to terminate a pregnancy, unless it like affects you or you go septic or this or that. Like there's no alternatives. People are
Yeah.
crazy.
People
I
are
can't believe she would say that.
insane.
But it's easy for other people, to throw stones.
I didn't know what to say. She was supposed to be my best friend, but here she was wishing I was dead. I waited hours, and then she sent me a very long message telling me how ashamed she was of me and that she would pray for my soul to be saved.
She needs to go yesterday.
Done.
Yeah.
Out. See ya.
Wait, that's crazy. I
Yeah.
thought it was going to say ashamed of what she said.
That's what I thought too. Like, I shouldn't have said
she
that.
doubled down.
Ew.
You're out of here.
Yeah.
Like, done. Adios.
She said she still loved me like a sister, but
Yeah.
needed me to repent. I was livid. We got into a huge argument where I told her everything that was wrong with the path she was going down. She would hear none of it. She called me brainwashed. She said I needed to do my own research and that Trump was going to save America.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we
that's
really
what's
did.
happening.
Yeah, we
It's
totally
really good
see
right
that
now.
happening.
Good job.
I do have to say, it's pretty amazing that somebody who claims to be pro-peace, like anti-war, bringing, justice and equality to the world to make sure that everything is fine, has in both of his terms had like either global unrest or a pandemic or
Because
people.
he's the Antichrist.
Right.
I saw this girl. She was like, "Why are you guys telling me that I'm not going to go into heaven if I voted for Trump? I don't get it." And I'm like, "Because you fell for the Antichrist. Like
Yeah.
they literally spelled it out for
Yeah.
you, what to look for, what not to, and you guys were like, Trump, and then
Yeah.
you flashed him. So
Yeah.
don't ask me why
Yeah.
you're not." We may not be in the same place, but I don't know if I believe what you believe. But I certainly know you were wrong.
It's
Certainly a
crazy.
legacy.
Boo!
The conversation ended with me telling her that I would not be able to talk to her again if she wasn't able to see my side of things. She said, same to you.
Jeez.
That was the last time we spoke. My heart hurt for months, but watching her posting become more and more unhinged helped me let her go. She was no longer a person I wanted to be friends with.
She was no longer a person.
I finally blocked her in 2020 after she went on an insane rant about vaccines. I still sometimes hope that she will see the light and reach out to me again, but I'm unsure if she ever will. Growing up, I never could have imagined cutting ties with Dina. In many ways, it feels like the friend I had died. I feel for anyone who had to cut out friends and family because they joined this cult. It gets easier, but there is a lot of guilt too.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's a
hard.
cult. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's crazy. And like it's hard to have family or friends or anyone that supports it because then it makes me personally feel like I'm complicit and like I
Yeah.
stand with it and like I'm associated with this and I'm okay with this. Like I will not you won't catch me anywhere with a Trump flag. You never catch me
No.
there.
Our next story is from Lena, and it's what was your last straw with someone you stopped speaking to from the original deck? I realized she wanted to be my friend for one reason. Ooh.
What could that reason
What do we
be?
think the reason is? Money,
Money.
sex,
Clout.
ooh, clout,
Spa days.
spa days. I was lucky enough to grow up with parents that never had to worry about money.
She's loaded.
Money.
Wow. You know what? I've already lost interest.
Mainly because they were big executives at a marketing firm, which also meant that I would often get whatever PR, early release, or limited edition item they were gifted.
It's really hard to hear people like living your dream. You know.
Even after I moved out, I still got the purses, makeup, clothing, and shoes from incredible companies, to the point where my closet was slightly overflowing and I had no room for the things I actually wanted to purchase for myself.
I'm too much designer.
Yeah, like...
I wish I could go
give
thrifting
stuff-
like you guys can go thrifting. I just have no room in my
No
closet. There's too much
space.
Gucci.
One night after work, my coworkers and I wanted to go out clubbing. And Shelly, the host, says she can't come because she doesn't have any clothes and she lives too far to go home and come all the way back. I tell her I live literally around the corner and she can use some of my stuff. She comes over as soon as we're off and I take her to my closet. I have two, one for clothes and one for accessories. Okay,
What?
Carrie
Living my
Bradshaw.
dream.
Like, Jesus.
Accessories. Wow.
Yeah, bags, belts, bangles, buckles, boots.
Wow.
No watches, no rings, no necklaces.
Those are two, but those didn't start with a B, so I
Okay.
couldn't think of
Alright.
them quick
So
enough.
they have their own closet.
They have their own drawer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We pick her out the cutest outfit ever. Batty was banging and go have ourselves a fun little time at the club. Shelly and I ended up getting pretty close at work, and she would crash at my apartment whenever she was too tired to drive home after a shift. We had been working together for years, but now we were thick as thieves, as she was my really close friend.
Aw, you poor thing. You're getting used.
Yeah. At this point in the story, I had just learned about Depop and figured I could make some money selling some of the plethora of clothes and accessories I have. I'm researching, looking up how other sellers are doing it, and that's when I see a very specific purse that is listed.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I knew it. I was like, she's going to go online and she's going to discover that the other one has been selling her from under her.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow, okay. FB Gabe.
I did not... My brain didn't go
What were
there
you
because I'm a
thinking?
good person.
What were you
Well,
thinking?
I don't know. I just thought she was like, I want to wear your clothes.
Yep. That's how it starts. It starts with, oh, I just
Yeah.
need an extra blouse to
I
wear
think
to
I
go
just
out.
I'm not like a criminally minded person.
Me neither, actually.
Well-
When people do things, I'm just sort of like, oh,
I'm
I
like,
guess you
can
could
do
do
that.
That's
wow.
crazy.
Like you could just
You
steal?
both need
Yeah.
to wake up and realize the world we live in.
Well, I just told you I'm gullible. Like
my
Yeah,
brain
that's
just
true, I
doesn't
know.
do it.
I'm really
I like to
like, no, they
follow
would
the
never
rules.
do that.
It gives me pause because it has a unique bag chain on it. One that I had made one afternoon that perfectly complemented the bag. Someone was selling my bag? That's crazy. Also, like, this is something that she, like, added on to.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like then you're like, she's going to notice this bag is missing.
That's
I feel
like-
like there's certain things that you could sell of hers that she probably wouldn't
Yeah.
notice. This feels like,
Well, that's the thing, like, wealthy people, rich people, or like, you know, like, I've got so many things I can't remember, you know. It's not like you're
Yeah.
like, I've got 14 of this, and I know when I'm out, because then I got to do laundry again. But I feel like for someone else who's got money and the, you know, the access to those things, especially when they didn't pay for them, that adds a whole new layer of like, it's whatever. I got it as a gift or I got it as a promo. In this instance of, she probably wouldn't have spotted it was gone for a while, if ever.
I dash to the overflow closet and realize that I can't find the purse anywhere. So clearly this has to be it. I click on the name of the seller and realize it's Shelly. I started replaying everything in my head, realized she never even brought up the clothes that I let her borrow that one night many months ago. And I'd clearly never gotten them back. As I'm scrolling her page, I am seeing page after page of listed item that had come from my closet, and my mouth is on the floor. Some of the photos were even taken in my room, as the clothes were still on the hanger.
Wow.
So I run up to my job, and I'm not going to lie, when I saw Shelly standing at the host stand, I crashed out. Lost my job, lost a friend, but got my clothes back eventually when I took Shelly to small claims court. Bitches be crazy sometimes. Wow, you really went there. I mean, I guess good for you.
You got at a certain point. Cause
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that she took her to small. I mean, I guess
She's
you know.
rich.
Yeah, but
Why
I also
wouldn't she?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I would probably do is like that's a criminal case, but I don't know.
If she got her clothes back, so.
Yeah.
Our next story is from Aaron, and it's what was your last straw with someone you stopped speaking to from the original deck. My friend started stalking me.
So again, I know I'm crazy because I'm flattered.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, you're obsessed with me. Thank you.
Why wouldn't they be? Hello, give me a break. Sorry.
I went to grad school to get my master's of science in nursing out of state. There were 20 people in my program, and at orientation night, I was eager to make some friends. That was where I met Haley. She started talking to me right away, and we learned we had both grown up in Dallas and then discovered our new apartments were only a few blocks away from each other. We agreed that we should hang out and became fast friends. When we weren't in class, Haley and I spent most of our time together. We talked about everything, and it was so nice to have someone to vent to about the professors and other people in our program. But then I started to notice that Haley really only seemed to hate the other women. She thought all of them were bitches and catty. She also started revealing that I was the only female friend she'd ever had.
Red flag. That's a red flag.
That's
Big
a
red
siren
flag.
screaming in your face.
Big
sister.
red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Apparently, every woman she had ever met was jealous of her, and they ended up having a huge falling out pretty quickly. Yeah, if this is the case, it's the same with dating. If someone's like, every single person I've dated is crazy,
You're a liar.
you're like, okay, this is a window into your future with this person. I thought this was a bit of a red flag since I've always had great female friendships. And when I told her about my friends back in Dallas, she got upset and insisted that I tell her she was my best friend and that I liked her more than them.
That has always freaked me out so much when people are so possessive about like being the best friend or like saying like I'm your only best friend. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, I think my soul.
I have multiple
connects
best
with a lot
friends.
of people and a lot of different aspects
quite
of my
a few
life.
friends. It's gonna be fine.
I have one like overarching BFF that I see all the time, but then I
Yeah.
have my little like subcategories of the BFFs I've had my whole life.
And so
you
you
know?
had
Mini
you
BFFs.
ranked.
Yeah.
I don't have you ranked, but I know what part of my life you cover.
Then in one of our classes, we got split into groups for a project. Haley and I were not paired together, which made her furious. She kept texting throughout class asking if she should tell our professor to change the groups so we could be together.
Under what other than
You're like,
her
no,
like
put the gun
obsession?
down. It's okay.
But it's like, under what reason could you come up with to be like, I need to be in there, like her group to get like.
I'd be like, oh, are we in elementary
She
school?
tells the professor, I think all the girls in my group are jealous of me and they're bitchy and catty and I can't work with them.
She's like, oh, you'll make a great nurse. Not all nurses are mean girls, but
All mean girls became nurses.
Yeah.
Or Christy Nome.
Yeah. Some of
Oh.
them went into politics.
Some of them went
So
into
there's
politics.
mean girls all over the place, but I do feel like all the ones I knew. I was like, it'll be okay. We can hang out later. She responded with K and then sprinted out of class and ignored me for the rest of the night.
I'm envisioning that. She's like, got it.
He's like, I'm giving you a silent treatment. And
She's
you're like,
stonewalling right now,
okay.
but your friend doesn't know that she's being stonewalled.
Yeah.
So she's just.
She's like, I don't know, dude. We're like not dating. I don't know why.
I'm getting the feeling you're upset about something.
I wasn't trying to be involved in some weird middle school drama, so I just ignored this. If she wanted to talk to me, she could, but I wasn't going to reach out about something that silly. That weekend, Haley came around and asked if I wanted to hang out. She seemed a little annoyed with me, but acted like everything was normal. Things were fine, but then she started talking about how much she hated Kelsey and Jordan, the two women I was paired with. I had been getting along with them, so I didn't encourage the conversation.
That's girl business.
Then she got silent. Do you like them or something? She asked. I mean, yeah, they're cool, I responded. This set her off, and she started screaming at me that they were backstabbing bitches, and they reminded her of all the girls who used to bully her in high school. She said if I was friends with them, I was a bully too. Then she kicked me out of her apartment. I walked home thinking, what the actual was that?
Why did you ever give this person any ounce more of your time?
Yeah, you gotta stop.
Stand up, girl. This is embarrassing.
And I decided I needed to keep my distance. I quit making plans with Haley, and when she asked me to hang out, I would tell her I was busy. I was also starting to get closer to Kelsey and Jordan, which really seemed to irritate her. I know I should have been more direct, but I couldn't believe she would blow up on me like that just because I was talking to other people. It's not like you can't have more than one friend. Anyway, the final straw came when Haley asked if I wanted to hang out. I told her I was busy doing homework. She said, so you're just staying at home today? I said yes, and then she said, then why isn't your car at your apartment?
Oh, girl, you are crazy. Also, you're in danger, other girl.
Girl, you're in danger. I had stepped out to go to the grocery store, so I told her that, but she didn't respond.
She's in
She's
your
just
trunk.
following you around. Yeah, exactly.
She's
Backseat
hiding
of the
it,
car. When I returned, she was sitting at my door sobbing. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? She started screaming at me that I was the worst friend she had ever had and that she had followed me home from school the other night and watched me go to Jordan's house. Yeah, we're working on a project together, I said. You were there for hours, she screamed back. It was like, you're like a scorned lover.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than like people that you just become friends with that suddenly think they get far more say in your life and they know you so well and they can help and this
weird
and
behavior.
that. It's crazy behavior.
Yeah.
I would never let someone treat me like this.
Also, it's like, you were there for hours. Yeah, on the group project that
Right.
we're having class together.
Or even if we were just hanging out.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to
I
do
stayed
that.
for dinner like crazy.
Yeah. I was like, you seriously sat outside Jordan's house for hours waiting for me? Then she starts yelling that I'm gaslighting her and trying to make her sound crazy when I was actually the crazy one.
After she admitted to being outside
Being crazy.
and watching her
She
for
said,
hours.
It's crazy that you think I'm crazy for doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Actually, you're crazy.
This is normal. This is what normal
She
people
said,
do.
I told you I didn't like you around them. Like, what did
Yeah.
you...
Yeah.
So what? I watch you from outside your window as you fall asleep. No big
Yeah.
deal.
I'm
Eh.
normal.
Safe.
That's what normal friends do.
Yeah. She called me abusive. It it honestly felt like we were going through an actual breakup rather than a friend breakup. This is why if somebody is like I've never been able to keep a single friend. Go. You don't.
Also, when you
don't
when
get told
someone
that right
no.
when someone is openly admitting to that too, where it's like, tell me about yourself. Well, I just can't seem to hold down a friend.
They
Yeah.
think it'll make you feel
They're-
sympathetic and want to hang more, but they're
Yeah.
really just telling you that you will not be the
Yeah.
friend they keep either.
Because-
Yeah.
It's like, if you were to do the math on it, you're like, the probability that you continuously find someone who's a bad friend or a bad person, whatever, is very, very, very unlikely. Not impossible, but it is like highly improbable. So it's clear that like in this equation of relationships not working, you're like the constant in all
Yeah.
of this. You're the problem.
After that, I kept my distance completely, and she ended up dropping out of school after a semester. She actually filed a formal complaint with the school and said she was leaving because of bullying.
Give me a break, girl.
She bullied herself.
You are in higher education. You're getting a master's. Like, this is like middle school behavior.
Give me a
This is
break,
like even
girl.
high school. You're too old for this.
Mm-hmm.
So our entire class had to get a lecture on treating each other with respect. Truly one of the most unhinged people I've ever met.
And she didn't even have to go to this.
Yeah.
Because she dropped out. So she
Yeah.
like left that little treat for everyone to be like, oh, we have a bullying problem. Everyone needs to have a little lesson in not,
And
bullying
how
people.
to be nice to each other,
Yeah.
even though we're
Meanwhile, everyone else
full-on
is like,
adults.
why are we doing this? This is not a problem.
Everyone's like at least 21.
Yeah.
Like, we're like
we know how to
adults.
talk it out.
Yeah. Our last story comes from Taylor, and it's "What do you wish didn't bother you so much?" from the original deck. My friend started ignoring me out of nowhere. I think he was an incel.
If you have to think it,
Yeah.
you're probably right.
When in doubt.
And sell it out.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
I got called a femcel recently.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like, are you doing something? Does that mean that it's... I never heard
It's
this
because I
before.
made a video like making fun of men and how they behave, and people are like, "This is really."
Is this like a feminazi kind of thing?
No, yeah, yeah.
It's
This
a female incel, basically.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm a femcel allegedly.
Femcel.
Huh.
Which is crazy because I thought incels were mad because people didn't want to sleep with them, so they're taking that personally. And I have the opposite problem where everybody wants to sleep with me, and so I have to take that personally. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard. I feel like the definitions are weird.
Yeah.
wonky.
I had this friend that I genuinely considered my brother. We met in college acting class, and he was the brightest, bubbliest person. We would laugh and constantly keep the bit going. And as we went through college, we became each other's closest person at school. It felt like a platonic soulmate connection, and I got the benefit of getting guy advice from him anytime I needed it. He never expressed any romantic feelings towards me, and I always felt very comfortable and safe. Even after graduation, he would stop at my apartment to wait out traffic, and we would build furniture, go out to dinner, just hang out. When I got a boyfriend I was pretty serious about, I remember him being adamant that I shouldn't try to date him because he gave off player vibes, but I told him not to worry about it and that I would be fine. Plus, I wanted them to meet so I could get his opinion of my new boyfriend. He didn't start acting weird until after my ex-boyfriend and I broke up, and I started going on dates. He still stopped at my apartment to wait out traffic, but he began to seem really frustrated and mad at me when he did, refusing to talk much at all. Then one day he comes, I tell him where the spare key is, and he calls me on the phone telling me I'm not being truthful and there's no spare key, so he ended up leaving.
He said he finds the spare key, but he's like, "You're not being truthful about something else. There's something else you have to tell me. I can tell."
Yeah, I just feel like, I mean, maybe he didn't, I don't know. It's a rough situation. It sucks when you're like falling for a friend and they don't feel the same way about you.
You gotta communicate
But
that.
you have to
You
communicate
can't
this
punish someone
information.
because they don't have the same feelings as you. If they
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you're not going to say it out loud, then you have no business.
No, because like the
No.
amount of like friendships I've had with people that I'm like, if I were to find out right now that you had feelings for me this whole time, it would have ruined the entire experience. Like it would have changed anything, and it would have immediately changed the way our friendship went from there on out. So, yeah, if he's got a problem, you just stand him and say it.
It wasn't until I saw that he unfollowed me on everything that I was weirded out. Wow, that's like very like no conversation. We're straight to blocking. Okay.
It's weird.
Or unfollowing.
That's weird.
I mean, I guess if it's, the feelings are strong enough and you
Yeah.
feel hurt, then obviously, like, everyone in the situation is like, oh,
Yeah,
and
but
they're
to
like,
not even talk to her about it, like they've been friends for years at that point.
hey, look.
Male
Nobody said
apologist.
men.
Male apologist.
No.
No.
No one said men were smart or emotionally intelligent.
True.
Got us there.
See?
True.
Got
Are you
us
gonna take it back? I wasn't saying anything bad.
Sorry, Gabe.
I was
now
proving.
I'm a male apologist.
Yes, that's right.
I was hoping if I pretended to be your friend long enough, you would
That
me.
I bought you dinner.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I waited in traffic for you.
I
help you build furniture.
sorry,
we built
did you
so
see, I
many
walked that
furniture
grandma across the
together.
street.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
very suitable candidate for a father. I could take care of you. I'm sorry. Just cut me off.
I love the.
Let me stop riffing.
I love the descriptor of I'm a very suitable candidate.
And I called him to ask if we were okay. And he said, there's nothing going on, and if I had a problem, I'd tell you.
Then do it.
Well, it sounds like you didn't because of how you unfollowed her on everything.
Yeah.
That's weird. But he never called and asked to wait out traffic again, and he stopped reaching out entirely. I ran into a mutual friend, and she was asking me about him. I said that I wasn't sure what happened, but that he'd iced me out completely. I'll never forget her sighing and saying, yeah, he always asked me if I thought you were into him. I think he was in love with you.
Ooh.
He was.
I thought she was about to say like, yeah, he did the same thing with me, and so and so,
Yeah.
and so and so, which I'm sure he has, but
Probably
Yeah.
gonna do it again.
yeah.
And I'm confused because the whole time I was sure we were always on the same page about this stuff. I ask if she's being serious, and she tells me that like clockwork, he would get a weird little crush on me around the same time every year and would convince himself that I was in love with him.
was it
His
Valentine's Day?
The
Yeah,
snow
like what
is
is this?
melting, and he's like, "My love is awakening."
I just feel like it's weird to like have a yearly crush. I feel like he had a crush on you year round.
Yeah, it's
he goes through the cycles
unlikely.
of denial, acceptance, anger.
Yeah. He probably got mad you wouldn't sleep with him even when you're single and heartbroken. That sucks.
Wow.
A few weeks later, I actually did hear from this friend. He texted me and asked if I would be free in the next few weeks. I asked him what was going on and why he was treating me so weird, and he never responded. What? I heard from a friend of a friend that something weird had to have happened to him because he isn't bubbly or genuine with anyone anymore, and allegedly he doesn't smile. He's been body snatched.
Yeah.
That makes more sense than the complete and utter switch up.
Yeah, that's very
Unless
weird.
he was like, I'm tired of playing this nice guy. Back to the male loneliness.
Yeah. He went down some weird alt-right
Yeah.
pipeline.
He
I
got
don't
red-pilled.
know.
He's like, I know it's not my fault. And then he looked for things
Yeah.
like Andrew Tate and Joe Rogan and other people that were like, it's not your fault, guy. It's not
Yeah.
your fault. It's her fault.
She's a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Not entirely sure what happened between us, but that's the story of how I lost one of my closest friends because he ghosted me. I don't know. Probably not a great
Probably
friend.
for the better.
Yeah.
Was he
seems
an
for the be-
Aquarius? I feel like a lot of Aquarius men do that.
Yeah. You guys. That is it for Delve Deck Stories. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, you can like, subscribe, and check out some of our other videos. And if you have a story you would like to share with us, you can go to share.delvedeck.com and we might read it on an episode. Bye.
See ya.